designers are here.
I'm Anita from Cedar Hill Farmhouse.
And I'm Yvonne from Stone Gable.
And I'm Kelly from My Soulful Home.
We have tips and tricks and decorating advice for you, so let's get started.
Welcome to episode 11. Today we're going to talk about some things that we want you to know about decorating. And it might even be some things you already know, and might be some things you haven't thought about in this particular way. So we're going to open up the conversation by me sharing a little confession.
I like these.
Yeah.
Is it deep and dark?
Well, a little bit.
Okay.
Because, I think about it.
Does this have to do with your celebrity crush?
Well, there was that. No, I'm not telling that yet. Maybe episode 25. We need to get to know these gals a little better before I share that. I want to talk about what I thought about decorating before I was a decorator as a career. Mm-hmm. I have to admit, I thought it was kind of fluffy.
No.
I did. I thought it was fluffy.
What?
I thought it was
That's because she was a lawyer.
Yeah.
Well,
I was young, and I was getting advice. Oh, no, Anita, I think I heard you talk about that too. Your dad saying you should be, an engineer. You can't make money doing that. Kind of along the same lines. But I thought, I'm not going to be a decorator. Like, I like decorating, and I'll decorate my own house.
You ate those words.
Well, I was working in a paper.
I'm going to go to law school, and I'm going to be a lawyer and all this stuff. And I even had a boyfriend in college. And this is what rings back to me. Okay, so we had a boyfriend. He dumps me. I find out later on, that he's getting married to someone. Now, this was the person.
This is a dark confession. Oh my God!
This runs deep. He was all about saving the world. He took time and went and built houses. Before people even did that. He was Habitat before Habitat was a Habitat. Uh-huh. And he was in the Peace Corps.
That's what I was going to say that.
This kind of person. And I found out, of course I was a little like, oh, he's getting married. Oh, great. I heard through the grapevine. And then I found out he was marrying somebody who was an interior decorator. And I thought,
oh my.
Wah. Like,
salt in the wound.
I want you to marry like a woman who's going to be like, transplanting organs out on the Serengeti. Like, what are you doing, interior decorator?
Well, so when I was working with all these guys in the engineering world, like I was saying, and I was wearing my steel-toed shoes, I was sewing curtains on the weekends, but I wasn't about to tell those guys what I was doing. So I didn't look down my nose on it and think it was fluffy, but I knew they were going to. So it was my little deep dark secret back
then.
Your
dirty secret. I know. So my dirty secret is that I did think it was fluffy, and it just sort of something you did in your house because you liked it, or it made me happy to move things around, and I always did it. Okay, but then dial ahead. I loved being a lawyer and all that was great, but then when I had my family, and when I learned by seeing it happen, how important it was, to have a beautiful home, a comfortable, safe home that expressed your personality and was authentic to you and made your family members feel good. When I realized how important that was as an adult, decorating took on a whole different perspective for me. And I think it was that time when we moved to California, and I wasn't practicing law anymore, and I had to build a life all over again, 3,000 miles away from anything we knew. I think that's when I started to realize how important decorating is. I mean, my mom always had a beautiful home, but I don't think at that time in my life I appreciated the deeper levels and how decorating can really affect your happiness and how you feel about it.
Absolutely.
Right now, when the world is so crazy, I mean, the world's, I guess, always been crazy, but everybody says, oh, the world's so crazy now. But, to have a refuge from it.
And that's what I was going to say.
Important.
It's a sanctuary. Building a sanctuary is a very, very important thing to do. And aesthetics are very important. We had this wonderful friend. She was so creative, and I just adore her. And my son would go over to play at with her son at her house, and he would call me. He was little, and he'd say, "Mommy, come get me. I can't see now," because there was so much going on in her house that he would just be so visually stimulated, and he would say it like, "I can't see now," and he would come home, and it's just like, oh, you know.
Oh. Well,
so
I know,
funny.
and it's amazing. You think that these members of your family don't care about the decorating. My daughter is a musician, and she does not really share my love of decorating, but I know when she tells me that she just loves to come home because she loves her pretty room, and when she maybe goes on, some of these mission trips and things, she's like, "I want to go home to my pretty room, Mom. My
But
pretty
don't
French
you feel
room."
that way? I feel that way when I go. I love to go away, but I'm even more excited to come home.
Oh,
Isn't
well,
that nice?
actually, I'm quite the homebody, so I really
Yeah,
just
I
prefer
love
staying home.
coming home, and I come home to my house and it's like, "Oh, I'm here," you know.
Right?
And a
Because it
lot of
gives you
it,
peace.
yes, exactly. And
So that's the bottom
that's an
line,
important
really,
feeling.
decorating. And if you do it right for you, authentically, and all of that, and it makes you feel good, makes you feeling good, then you are creating this perfect environment in which for your family and you to thrive, and then you're better people when you go out into the real world, right?
Well, and I like to say that my decorating style is about creating a beautiful home that celebrates your friends and family. So to me, the decorating is about the people.
Yes,
Absolutely. And
you're absolutely
creating
right.
that space for them.
So I guess I just had to get my deep confession off my chest to let you know
We
that,
still love you, Kelly.
I'm a true believer, and I have been for a long time, and it's always been in there. But there was a time when I thought it was just fluff.
Oh
But
my.
it's not. And so it's really important what all of these bloggers are doing, and that everybody that's listening here is doing in their own homes, because if you make your own family happy and make yourself happy, I mean that's the best you can do in the world, right?
Absolutely. Start at home.
So
That's
I
exactly
think
right.
Mother Teresa said that in somehow, some way. Okay, so let's get started with today. Now that I got I went to the confessional and got that out of the way.
So do you have to say some Hail Marys or something? I don't know.
I probably will. I'll do
Okay.
something later on.
Okay.
So we're going to talk today about what you should know about decorating. Anita, do you want to kick it off with some thoughts?
Well, we've talked about this before, but I think it's important to restate it, and that is that mistakes are part of the process. I think that's a misconception people have, that if they do it once, if they decorate something and it doesn't look good, that they must not be very good at it. But what they don't realize is that making all these mistakes is part of the learning process and part of the decorating process. You just try one thing. If it doesn't look good, just keep going until it looks like you want it to.
Good point, Anita. There's nothing we do in life perfect the first time. It's all about practice.
I think I heard it said one time that if you want to be an artist or you want to be a creative, you have to be willing to be bad at first, whatever it is you're trying to
Oh, I
learn.
agree with that. Absolutely.
And
I have
I would.
one. I have another thing that you should know, and that is you can do a DIY project. So many people think, "Oh, I've got to call in a professional," or "I don't want to tackle something," and you can do it. My husband and I 6 years ago decided to gut every single room in our 21-year-old home and redo the entire thing from the flooring up. And we are mostly, well, totally DIYers, and we learned how to lay hardwood flooring and put in um, um, hardware and put in floorboards and hang chandeliers and
You did your
uh,
own floors?
yes, we do our own
Wow.
floors. Well, when I say we, I mean
Does that mean Bobby?
Bobby.
Somebody has to
Yes,
be the boss.
that's right.
So
And
you were just supervised, is what you're saying.
well, I was quality control.
Okay, that's important.
But
So
anyway,
did
and
you say, Yvonne, on many occasions, Bobby, you can do it?
well, I'm going to let you in on a secret. Oh, I hope Bobby does not listen to episode 11. Someone told me a long time ago that men love to hear, like, you're the only one that could do this. You're doing such a good job. I don't know what I would do without you. No kidding.
Kevin
And
would smell a rat. I can't say that.
well, It works like a charm. I don't try to use my powers too often, but when I need something done, it works. But anyway, let's get back to our
Poor
DIY
Bobby.
project.
Well, I think that's a bit of a DIY too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
DIY your husband.
DIY what you
Oh,
want.
yeah. So anyway, if you have the time, tutorial, and talent, you can do anything. The three T's. We're doing a main bathroom in our hallway upstairs. We've been working on it for 7 months. Now, I don't need to work on it and have it done in a month. And we both have full-time jobs, and we just work on it here and there. It will get done. And my husband's really great at looking at a tutorial and figuring something out, and I'm saying, "Hey, can you do it this way, or how about if we do it this way?" And so we go online or we read and we find ways to do it. And the other thing is practice a little, because you can get that talent if you practice. Um, a quick example is painting furniture. I love the look of painting furniture, and what I did is I got a few paints and went online, looked at a few videos, and I used a piece of cardboard and practiced on it till I got good. And that's, you can do DIY projects. You can cut the cost of things. You don't need professional decorators, especially. And I always have the attitude, "Oh, how hard can this be?" Now I find out how hard it can be, but I'm not. But you learn from your mistakes and you move on. And we're pretty good now at laying hardwood floor. So that's my number one. You can do projects that you think you can't do.
I'm impressed.
Very
Very
impressive.
good. Okay, and I I'm going to add that having style has nothing to do with your budget or having money. And
Right.
because style does not go hand in hand with buying the most expensive things. So,
Great
there's a
point.
little bit of DIYing in there for sure to save money. But even on items that you need to buy, if Bobby's not going to make you a sofa or something like that, and you have to actually
You
purchase
never
it,
know.
if you have the three T's,
That's
you
true.
can do it. But people think, oh, I can't get that style because I don't have that budget. But really, style has absolutely nothing to do with the amount of money that you can or are willing to spend on
Well, and I think
items.
you can go high or low with a particular style. You can go with a high-end items or lower-end items and still get a similar look.
Right. Or just add in a few key pieces, spend the money on certain things, like spend the money on the sofa.
Excellent.
And don't spend the money on the end table, get that at a yard sale and paint it. Something like that.
You know what I always say? Do not spend more than the years you want to live with something.
Yes. We need to make a little like point of purchase book with all these wonderful things that you
That's
say.
Yeah, that's
well,
a
that's
good
my
point.
mantra.
I
That's my
love that.
mantra. Anita,
So
do you have
Anita,
another one?
Anita
Oh.
has some, I know.
Well, I think that one is there are exceptions to every rule because there's a rule for the height of chandeliers from the ceiling. There's a rule on how, where artwork should be on a wall. But it seems like every time I come up with a rule that I find out about, I know of an exception. So I think it's okay to, go off-road and maybe do something that's maybe goes against the rules if it makes sense for you in your home.
I would say as a caveat to that, learn the rule.
Yes.
I mean, and we could probably put a few of our blog posts in the show notes with rules. I know I have one about chandelier heights and all of that, and there's coffee table heights and all of that. Know the rule, and then you have the ability or the knowledge to break it when it's appropriate.
True. That's a good
I,
point.
I think it has a lot to do with your style. If you want to create your own style, yes, follow the rules, but there's some that just don't make sense. In my family room, I have a nice a chair, but I have a window next to it with a space and another chair, and the space is pretty far apart. So I ended up putting in an old desk that I found at a vintage shop, and it's much higher than the arm of my chair. But in that situation, it looks really good, and I can put a lot of things on it. My lamp, some books, much more, and it fills up that space way against the rule because the rule is an inch or two lower than the arm of whatever piece of furniture
Well,
you're putting
I
a
see, and
end
I
table
don't,
next to.
I don't like that rule at all because I always go with tall end tables. I just don't like the low table look, and
Well,
everything just with the taller ceilings and everything. I feel like taller is better.
Well, that's a good example of knowing when to break the rule. I think you're right, spot on with that, Anita.
Inevitably, with the new year come wellness goals. One very effective and easy to reach goal is to add dose to your wellness regime. Dose is expertly formulated organic wellness shots that support your liver in one delicious drink. Formulated with ingredients clinically shown to support liver health. Potent turmeric, milk thistle, and ginger. There's 0 sugar and 0 calories. Did you know that your liver performs over 500 special functions? Since I learned all that my liver is doing, I started with Dose to support all those vital functions. I take a shot of refreshing Dose 2 times per week to combat everyday toxins from food, meds, alcohol, and unhealthy air. Since starting with Dose about a month ago, I am definitely feeling an overall improvement in my health. So if you want to give Dose a shot and invest in your health like I have, Dose is offering DTT listeners 15% off your first order, plus an additional 15% off if you subscribe for a monthly delivery. That's 30% off your first order. So go to dosedaily.co/DTT and use the code DTT. That's dosedaily.co.co/DTT and use the code DTT. Go ahead, clean out your closet, then head straight to Quince. I love every item Quince offers, from wardrobe to decor, and I can really recommend their Ultra Stretch Super Wide Leg Pant at $49.90. The price is unbeatable, and the look is so flattering. It keeps you in on top and flares out of the bottom. Everything feels right with Quince. The price, the quality, and the sustainability. Quince offers a range of luxury wardrobe and home goods at prices within reach. And like Quince's clothing, their home goods are priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands. Quince only works with factories that use safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing practices, along with premium fabrics and finishes. Once you've cleaned out your closet and refreshed with Quince, you can also add something to your home decor. So give your wardrobe and your home the refresh it needs with Quince. Go to quince.com/DTT to get free shipping and 365-day returns on your next order. That's Quince, QUINCE.com/DTT for free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/DTT. And let me know how you love those pants.
I have another one, and
Go.
and if you like to decorate, then you are a decorator.
Yay!
Yeah, so many, I mean, because you're decorating. So many people, you don't have to go to the Parsons Institute to have a degree to say that you're a decorator. If you have a passion for decorating, you are one. You're a decorator. But here's what will help you maybe feel more like a decorator. Keep honing your skills. Keep curating your look. You know, you want to develop a style. You want to create a style that is you. And so you don't think of yourself as, oh, I'm just not a decorator. If you love it and you have a passion for it, you're probably doing it, and you are a decorator.
I agree. I think that's so great. And because people, they pigeonhole themselves, or, hey, if I said I'm a lawyer and I'm not a decorator, I wouldn't be here right now, and I wouldn't have this wonderful chapter in my life, which I hope goes on and on and on. And another thing that people can do in their home, and it's relatively easy and it's a decorator thing, is to create flow. Right? There's oftentimes you go into somebody's home and, it's almost like a designer showcase home. We maybe, if we like this sort of thing, we've all visited one of those in our lifetime, right? Where each room is, onto itself. There is no flow. There's the media room,
Yeah.
and the kitchen is, a totally different look. And then there's, the living room, and that's all mid-century, and none of it flows. You don't want that in your own home, obviously. So it's really easy to create flow, and you should know how to do it. And to do it, all you need to do is repeat some elements throughout all the rooms, keep a limited palette, tweak the elements a little bit as you go through the rooms. Maybe it's a little deeper tone, or if you're doing some nubby linens, maybe it's, in one room it's in the draperies, in another room it's in a pillow, and work in different textures. Because you're having a limited palette, you can bring in textures to add some interest. And if you sort of dot each room with these same elements, and your eye, and therefore it'll be pleasing to your eye, will move through the room and then into the next one and flow through the entire house, whether it's, a one-story ranch or 3 stories or a duplex or whatever you've got going on. You just carry it throughout. And so creating flow is really not difficult at all.
So what you're saying is just you're creating a cohesive look.
Yeah.
A look that when you go from one room to another, it's like, oh my goodness, what happened? This is
Right.
totally different. You
Right.
want
You don't
something
want
that
the
it's seamless. It's seamless.
seamless.
And
Right.
seamless is not always seamless. Seamless takes a lot of work.
True. Right. It's harder than you think.
Right. But you can do it. But if you just use those few tips, create, repeat the elements, limit your palette, and then tweak it a little bit through the rooms. I have
think when-
confidence everybody that's listening today can do that.
Well,
I
and the
think-
beauty of doing it that way is you can move things from one room to another very easily that way.
Good point.
Right,
Good point.
right.
I think one great way to do that is with paint color. And that's
Yes.
in episode 10. And keeping that cohesive look, painting your rooms the same color or a variation of the same color. That goes a long way.
Oh yeah. Another thing I wanted to throw in there is the importance of having something unique in each room. And I think the best way to do that is to go antique or vintage because, I think that's something that nobody wants their house to look exactly like everybody else's. They want it to have their own personality, their own stamp on the house. And I think that's one of the easiest and best ways to do it is to be sure and add something unique and vintage to each room.
That flows right into my next point, and
Ooh.
that is
It's
don't
almost like
be
we planned this.
I know. Don't be
Oddly enough, we didn't.
That's exactly right. Don't be
True.
afraid to paint vintage furniture.
Yeah.
Now, I know that there are people like falling over and passing out right now.
Yes, they are.
Uh-huh. But here's my thinking on this. I had, well, and I've lived this. There's so many beautiful pieces out there that could do exactly what you talked about, Anita. Make something very unique. Bring a splash of style into your room that no other kind of decor you can get these days do. But if you paint something, really aren't you recycling it and upcycling it and giving it a second
yeah.
life?
Well, and it's
I'm
a
not
whole
saying-
new look. It's
I'm not-
amazing.
I'm not saying go get museum quality vintage or antiques and paint them. But you can go to a vintage antique store and find something that's not such a gorgeous piece that you don't want to paint the wood, but I've painted so many things and it gives them a second life, breathes life in them, and it also adds a little bit of a modern look to a vintage piece, and that looks really unique.
Well, and I found so many pieces at the thrift store that were a beautiful chair or vanity or whatever. Just beautiful lines, but it was the stain had yellowed or something over time. So the color of the stain was just hideous. But with a fresh coat of paint, it just revived it and it was just beautiful.
And painting is such an easy thing to do. There are hundreds of YouTube videos on how to paint furniture and how to breathe new life into it. I couldn't agree with you more. And just the pop it adds to a room and like you said, uniqueness and style. It's something so different. It's amazing how it can freshen up everything.
How about filling every single space in your room, hanging things on the walls? How do you feel about that?
Well, that's something that comes up a lot in with readers. I've noticed is that they want me to look at spaces, and it might be something where they are wanting to put something in every single space, and that's something I feel very strongly about, is that you need places for your eye to rest. Just like Christopher was overwhelmed with so much in that house, I think a room needs places to rest. I know when you're designing a book or a course, you're supposed to add white spaces
That's right.
so that there's everything is separated and your mind and your eye gets to rest. And I think a room needs places to rest. So I like a lot of blank spaces.
I couldn't agree with you more. Just because there's a shelf, well, maybe not a shelf, but just because there's a space on top of cabinetry or there's just, an area between furniture, it doesn't mean you have to squeeze something in there. I liken it to like people sometimes get uncomfortable with silences.
Exactly.
And they feel like they just have to keep talking and fill in the space. Let there be some silences in your room, because then people can take in maybe that really unique piece, vintage piece, or the piece you painted, or just appreciate what the flow that you've created. And the flow can most certainly should contain some empty spaces, but they're really not even empty because they serve a purpose.
Right, and I think that when you put something, maybe you just said this, but when you put something fantastic in the room, if it's overstuffed, no one's going to notice it.
Right, right.
That was going to be my point.
Oh, sorry, Yvonne.
No, like mine. Yeah. But I really think that when you put something on your wall, you just have to do it purposefully, and you have to do what's around it purposefully as well, because you just don't want to have so much that your eye can't focus on one thing first. And the other thing is, and this is sort of a pet peeve, know what you're putting, let's say, on a wall. Don't put something too small. I'd rather something oversized and nothing else than a bunch of little pictures just like floating out in this great expanse of a wall.
Less is more and big is better.
Exactly. And also edit. You need to revisit what you're doing and just say, okay, do I need to take something off?
Does that remind you of back in the old days, they used to talk about, as the lady was leaving the house, that she should take off a piece of jewelry because perhaps she had on one too many?
There is never such a thing as too much jewelry. Period. Move on.
Okay, that's a rule that can be broken.
Never. Bobby, don't listen to that.
No, Bobby gets the bigger is better diamond.
Yes.
Put that all together. Oh, how funny.
Green Chef is a delicious delight any time of year, but especially during the holidays. What a wonderful vision to behold as the Green Chef boxes on your doorstep. Green Chef is the #1 meal kit for eating well. And it makes eating well so easy with plans to fit every lifestyle, whether you're keto, paleo, vegan, vegetarian, gluten-free, or just looking to eat a more balanced diet. So let Green Chef take the work out of eating clean this holiday season. And if you've got guests coming, shop Green Bundles. They're now available at the Green Market. It's your one-stop shop for nutritious grab-and-go breakfasts, including vegan options, brunch kits, wholesome lunches, ready-to-eat snacks, veggie sides, and more. You can feel your best this December and do your best with Green Chef because they offset 100% of the delivery emissions as well as 100% of the plastic in every box. Go to greenchef.com/60DTT and use the code 60DTT and get 60% off plus 20% off your next 2 months. greenchef.com/60DTT and use the code 60DTT to get 60% off plus 20% off your next 2 months. Pesto pork chops over Parmesan polenta. Not that easy to say, but oh so easy to make with Green Chef. Green Chef is the #1 meal kit company for eating well, and we have such a great deal for you. You're going to save $250. Listen on for the details on that. Green Chef makes eating well easy for any lifestyle, whether you're keto, paleo, vegan, vegetarian, gluten-free, or just looking to eat more balanced meals. We're getting into the busy holiday season, so it's a perfect time to have Green Chef help you out. Let Green Chef take the work out of eating clean this holiday season with their chef-crafted, nutritionist-approved recipes featuring fresh ingredients and nothing artificial. And you know what? You don't have to lose track of your healthy eating habits during the holidays. Every Green Chef customer gets a free session with their registered dietitians who will walk you through how to make clean eating work for you. So sign up for your free session and start on the road towards better health today. and that deal I want to tell you about. Visit greenchef.com/DTT250 and use the code DTT250 for $250 off your order. So that's greenchef.com/DTT250 and use the code DTT250 for $250 off your order.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I think that's, too many little, there was a time where it was, sort of that Crystal Carrington thing with like a zillion mirrors on the wall or a zillion little frames.
Before
with
my
pictures.
time, Anita.
Oh, oh yeah.
I
Are you
know.
talking about
Kelly.
Dynasty?
I saw that on Netflix.
Oh,
In
okay.
Texas?
No, that was the
Dallas?
Ewings that were
I
in.
don't know.
No, that was Dallas.
How do you know about this? I've
Know
never
about
heard
what?
of it.
What?
don't even
Dallas?
know what you're talking about.
Oh, Yvonne. You smarty pants.
Don't put too many. And you don't have to create a gallery wall just because they were popular. If that's not your thing, just don't slap a bunch of things up on the wall. Less is more, big is better. We'll put that in the book of quotes.
And
There
we'll
we
also
go.
put that on the show notes. How about that?
That sounds good.
And you
That's
can
good.
find the show notes on our site, decoratingtipsandtricks.com. As well as, I think, all three of our posts are our blogs, right, girls?
Yeah.
Oh, yes,
Okay,
definitely.
good,
And I
good.
think was that everything? Did anyone have anything else?
Well, I think we covered a lot today of what you should know about decorating. There's so much more to know, but today you got a deep dark confession, and you got a lot of sort of bigger concept tips. So I think we've covered it.
I think we're good.
Okay, so remember, we're here to inspire you to create a beautiful home. Until next time.
Hey there, if you're loving our podcast like we're loving our podcast, we would love you to rate and review us. Head to iTunes to do that. It's easy and it would mean so much to us. And if you do rate and review us, we're going to enter you to win a fantastic giveaway. The details for the giveaway are in the show notes for this episode, and you can find the show notes at decoratingtipsandtricks.com.